Before I reveal the dark truth, hit that like button and subscribe, because the history books burned this story, and you won't hear it anywhere else. In the late summer of 1889, the small, isolated village of Blackwood Creek vanished from every map in the state, and not because of a clerical error. The villagers, desperate for prosperity in a year of relentless drought, had turned to an object they unearthed while digging a new well. It was a heavy, obsidian black box covered in markings that seemed to shift when viewed from the corner of the eye. The town elder, a man named Elias Thorne, claimed the box contained the breath of the mountains and would bring the rain that had abandoned their crops for 3 years. He was right about the rain, but he was disastrously wrong about the cost. On the first night after the box was opened in the town square, the sky opened up, but it wasn't water that fell. A thick, viscous, ink-black fluid began to pour from the clouds, coating the rooftops and soaking into the parched earth until the fields were glistening with a sickly, unnatural sheen. The villagers danced in the downpour, laughing as their crops began to grow at a terrifying, accelerated rate, turning from seedlings to stalks of corn in a matter of hours. But the growth was distorted, the leaves twisted into claw-like shapes, and the stalks pulsing with a rhythmic, heartbeat-like throb. As the days passed, the laughter died away. The people of Blackwood Creek stopped speaking to one another, their voices replaced by a strange, collective humming that seemed to resonate from the very foundations of their homes. They began to forget their own names, their memories fading as the black fluid seeped into their skin, turning their veins dark and their eyes entirely obsidian. Elias Thorne was the first to realize the horror, but by then, he had already lost his ability to scream. He watched from his window as his neighbors began to walk in unison toward the town well, their movements stiff and mechanical, like puppets on invisible strings. They didn't fall into the well, they merged with it, their bodies stretching and thinning until they were little more than shadows dissolving into the dark stone. By the time the authorities from the nearby county rode into town a week later, there was no sign of a struggle, no bodies, and no crops. The village was completely silent, the houses empty and pristine, yet coated in a thin, dust-like layer of black soot that smelled of ozone and ancient decay. The investigators found only the obsidian box, sitting perfectly centered in the middle of the dried-up well. When they tried to lift it, they found it was anchored to the earth, as if it had grown roots deep into the bedrock. They left in a hurry, feeling a profound, irrational terror that they couldn't explain. The local government eventually ordered the site to be burned and buried under tons of concrete, sealing off the entrance to the valley forever. Even now, over a century later, the forest has refused to grow back over that specific patch of land. It remains a barren, circular scar in the wilderness, and those who dare to camp near its perimeter at night report hearing the sound of 1,000 voices humming in perfect, haunting unison, calling out to anyone who lingers too long near the shadow of what used to be Blackwood Creek. The story serves as a grim warning that some things are buried for a reason, and not every gift from the earth is meant to be received, because the price of a harvest can often be the souls of those who plant the seeds. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe before you go.